Hello, my name's Michael Wehar, and I'm broadcasting here from Swarthmore College's WSRN 91.5 FM. And we have a special guest here today, Kevin, and we're going to discuss a bit about the outdoors. But first, Kevin, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hey, my name is Kevin. As you all know, uh, about myself. Just turned 30. Like walking outdoors every once in a while. Um, Married happily. Yeah, I've never been good at the tell me about yourself.
So you're doing great. The next question I had is I know you're into hiking. That's how we first met each other, and we'll talk about that a little bit. But can you tell me about how you first got into hiking? Have you been doing it for long? Yeah, anything you could share about that.
Yeah, so I think hiking is just walking, really. It's just a fancy way of saying you walk outdoors every once in a while. It's different from going on a treadmill, It's you do it for exercise, but the main benefit of like walking outdoors and hiking is definitely like the mental impact it has on you. Like going outside just helps so much. How long have I been doing it? Since I've been walking, but I haven't called it hiking. I really started calling it hiking maybe like 4 or 5 years ago. When I met my wife and we started joining like hiking groups and stuff. Well, she was my girlfriend at the time, but yeah, it's hiking's great mentally for me at least, and it's great physically as well. So it's a lot of reasons to do it.
So hiking was something that you and your wife did back when you were first dating?
Yeah, definitely. And like, so we just every once in a while we've always been into like weekend trips. So like, take a trip out to Reading, take a trip out to Lancaster, even explore Philadelphia where we're at. Just there's so many little. I've always been into urban exploring too, so I guess that's where it comes from.
Are there any specific parks or places that you can recommend? I know you mentioned a few in some kind of generality, but are there any places you really like to hike?
So, I mean, I I live right next to the Wissahickon, and it's a really great park inside the city, and it's just wild enough that like you feel like you're outside of the city. And once you get inside of it, just like when you get to the bounds, you're like, oh wow, I'm still in Philadelphia. So like those kinds of places to me are magical. So like the Wissahickon, but even a bit more remote, like there's a place called Peace Valley Lake, and like that's a nice little hiking trail around this man-made reservoir. But like kayaking, there's a lot of kayaking and fishing they do that people could do there. Just like so many fun activities you could do just around everywhere and everything.
Well, thank you for that. So we're not just focused on hiking. The main topic of this show today is how to appreciate the outdoors. And Kevin and I both really do like hiking, and that's how we first met each other. So we met one day. I went on this group hike, and I just happened to see you and your wife now, and immediately clicked and became friends, and continued to go hiking each week with that group. And I just got hooked after that and really got into hiking. And I'm sorry I'm talking a lot about hiking, but yeah, what are some of the other ways you started mentioning that you shown appreciation for the outdoors or spent time outdoors with friends? What are some of the other activities in the local area that you enjoy?
So when it comes to enjoying outdoors, I would say the best thing to do is not to trash it. It does break my heart when I see like trash. I do like rock scrambling, which is like just kind of using rocks to get to a new place. I like kayaking. I don't do it enough, unfortunately, but I do have kayaks. So I've never tried mountain biking, but I feel like I would like it, just the adrenaline rush. Yeah.
Well, I think that's really great. Are there any places around here where you can do these more water related activities such as kayaking or paddleboarding or tubing or things like that?
I guess like my real love of the outdoors, now that you make me think about it, is that when I was in high school, every once in a while, once a year, my friends and I would go paintballing, and like 2 hours outside the city is Mount Pocono, and that's where we went paintballing. And could rafts and kayak on the Delaware, and then the next day go paintballing, and it's very fun. But I loved like the idea of like just there's so many things you could do. I totally lost your question. I apologize.
No, you're fine. I think you gave a good suggestion of another local place that you could go to. In the Philadelphia area, there's just so many awesome outdoors locations, parks. I love Valley Forge, going hiking there.
You go there every week, right?
I try to go there every week. There's a few different groups. There's some groups affiliated with the park, and there's some just groups of people just go there and want to hike and explore and make friends and things like that. Yeah, so let's continue on. I know we're talking a lot about the outdoors, but what do you think about the indoors, and how do you balance your time indoors, outdoors? Are you ever indoors and like, I need to get out, or are you ever outdoors and like, I just want to stay in and rest indoors for the day?
I feel like everyone's got those days, right? Where it's like today's like you wake up, it's rainy, it's like 7 a.m. or whenever you get up to go to work, and you're like, it's terrible outside. Why would I want to do this? There's the days where I do prefer staying indoors, but most of the time I love going outdoors. But I'm definitely a homebody, and when I am home, I just, typical 30s male, I'll like play video games or just read a book or something. So,
well, that's great. So the next thing I wanted to ask about is, can you tell me about some of the different groups you've gone hiking with or done outdoors activities with? I know we met through the group It's Better Outdoors, which is a meetup group, and I made a lot of friends through just meeting this group and going on these excursions with them.
It is great. It's a commonality of everyone liking the outdoors and liking doing things together, and then you combine the two, people in a group liking to do things together outdoors, and it's just a good bonding experience. Whoever you fall in line with, because like the trails are like kind of just shoulder to shoulder sometimes, or front and back. But when you're walking with someone and you just like get to talking, you get into a groove, you're like, oh, I really bond with this person. I really click with this person.
I really enjoy that. As you start doing these outdoor activities, you start to socialize, you start to get to know people and chat, and you have some of the best ideas or conversations. And it's just something about, I don't know if it's being outdoors or being active, or some combination of the two, but it really does lead to great thoughts and great new friends. Yeah, so that IBO is the one group. It's called It's Better Outdoors. I know there's a lot of different groups out there. At Valley Forge, I go with Valley Forge Park Alliance, and there's a lot, and I encourage you to seek out. Some of the other parks I go to are Ridley Creek, and even here at Swarthmore, there's Crum Creek and Wissahickon, as you mentioned, Kevin, but there's many more as well. There's also in the local area a lot of groups for birding, so they go on different hikes, and sometimes they bring their cameras or their binoculars and things like that, and I've had a lot of positive experiences and met a lot of nice people trying out these different activities. So the last topic here is, what about safety outdoors? Do you have any thoughts? Have you met mostly positive people? Do you have any just basic suggestions for people if you're doing outdoors activities?
I mean, the outdoors is kind of dangerous in themselves because you never know who you're going to run into or what you're going to run into. The way I like to think about it is that being with someone is definitely the best thing to do, like being with company. And honestly, people outdoors tend to be very mindful of other people. And if you see someone walking your way or biking your way, stand aside, let them pass if you feel like they're taking up the trail. Yeah, safety is huge, and I have a lot of stories about safety because like Catherine and I and a bunch of friends went to Yellowstone and we just saw a bunch of like bear excrement on the trails. And one of the things is that like some people in the group didn't realize it was bear. Just 20 minutes later, some people passed us and they're like, yeah, there's bears on the trail down there. It's like, just, if you're in a new area, know what you might encounter. And thankfully we had bear spray. Didn't use it, but
well, I think that's you're giving me some new ideas about like what to do and what to think about before you participate in these activities. I mean, one thing, you might interact with people, you got to be cautious, you got to be respectful and not put yourself in dangerous situations. But also you might encounter animals, and if you encounter bear, of course, that could be dangerous, and you got to be cautious and do some of your homework about where you're going and making sure it's a safe place and taking whatever you need to prepare, such as you said you brought this bear spray. I think also you need to make sure you know this area that you're going to, because you don't want to get lost. If you prepare ahead of time, hopefully that'll help you make sure you know where you're going. So just to kind of summarize that, my suggestions would be tell a friend that you're going, maybe even invite another friend with you, and bring your cell phone, make sure it's charged, bring some water, bring any supplies. Make sure you know the group you might be going with, the area, and make sure it's a good area that people typically do these activities at. I've had nothing but positive experiences planning ahead and going with friends and trying to be as safe as I can be.
Definitely carry a cell phone that's charged, though. Like, that's like basic. Water too, obviously.
I always bring a lot of water.
Yes.
But be smart and make the best decisions you can and do your homework. So we're gonna end now. We're gonna end this segment. Thank you so much, Kevin.
Thank you.
I really appreciate you coming on. And again, just to share with everyone, appreciate the outdoors. It's really a great place. There's really a lot of great opportunities to do outdoor activities around the Philly area. And thank you again.
Thank you.